see as some solutions or some strategies that can be implemented to address?
So I'm going to start by responding to a question Jackie asked. And it does speak to one of the strategies, right? So what I've come to realize in my practice, but also in my reconnecting with my African spirituality and indigenarities and culture, that is, we've been made to believe that we are just an individual, and so there's no understanding that if you're not doing well, it means your family is not doing well, it means your community is not doing well, it means your nation is not doing well. So back to the question you asked, how do you heal yourself? How do you heal the people behind you? You come from a people. You have 50% of your DNA, mother's DNA, your father's DNA. If you heal you already healed 50% of her. So one of the things we cannot afford to do is to work to heal those who came before us. Imagine a tree, and this is an analogy I usually use a lot with my clients. Is it the roots that feed the branches, or the branches that feed the roots? If a branch tries to feed the root, no one's gonna survive. Sometimes you have to let the people behind you be, and you heal you, and by you healing you heal them. Because what that means is your children will no longer have to experience the full depth of the trauma. Because in your generation, you're changing that history of trauma. Does that make sense?
No, I'm not going to dispute what you're saying. It does make sense, but I think the piece that's missing within that dynamic is, so I'll give an example. My goddaughter is 23, right? And me and her mom grew up together since we were like 14, 15, and I managed to somehow get myself educated. Her mom coming from a similar situation as me, she's still uneducated, educated. And it's not that she's not an intelligent woman, she is, right? But she's looking at her daughter move forward, right? And 1 minute it's like, oh, I'm proud of you, you're going to college, you're moving up, you're doing something. Then the next minute, in her own insecurity, in her own lack of education, she'll turn on lash out on her daughter and be like, oh, so you have a piece of education on, you think you're better than me, right? So this child now, as you said, she's managed to heal forward, right? But what part of that healing forward is actually flowing back to that 50% you were talking about? And then the mother now, unintentionally, because she's still dealing with her own trauma, is pushing that trauma back forward onto her child, right? So again, like, everything you said, it sounds good. Mm-hmm. It's almost like what he was saying in theory, theory of what politicians are doing. But the dynamic.
I hear you. So may I say this? What I'm saying is, by you healing you does not mean everything that came before you is no longer there. What I'm saying is, we may not have control, we do not have control of yesterday, but we have control of stopping today so it doesn't escalate into the future. Because, and I say that because I've come to peace, for example, as a clinician, that the baggage I carry today as a woman in my 30s, if I heal, my children do not have to carry the full on of what I come with. And sometimes we have to do what we can as at now to stop things from getting worse. The way I look at trauma is it's cumulative experiences of pain where you don't get support and you don't have opportunities for restorative justice for you to recover. So we keep piling on. We keep piling on. We are not designed to be broken people. But here we are designed to be whole. But here we are broken people. Broken people hurt other people. That's just the nature of trauma. So what I'm saying is, and I hear what you're saying in terms of your goddaughter trying her best to move up, and mom supporting her, but in the same breath also bringing her down. That's the nature of trauma. So at some point, she has to focus on her. And that does not mean mom doesn't impact. Does that make sense? Because the other thing about trauma is that often cases, if you've gone through trauma for a long time, people no longer have to call the enemy is no longer even just outside, it's also within. Because we come to identify with that. My mother used to say to me, Wairimo, if someone calls your dog, do not bark back, because you become one. Right? And we've internalized trauma. And the reason being, we are not designed as a human being to go through pain over and again without moments of respite and restoration. And the system knows that. And that's why violence is in every angle: economics, housing, employment. You get cornered. Right? So what I'm saying is, it does not mean when you work on you, the back is no longer gonna haunt you. It's so much easier to get sick. It takes so much longer to get well. And we've all experienced that. You wake up with a headache, all of a sudden you have flu. It may take you 2 weeks to recover. So for us as people of color and black people, it's been intergeneration of people sitting and literally planning how to destroy you. And in fact, if they could, and they've tried, but we're still here, erase us. Right? So it will take a lot of us working on ourselves so that we're cognizant, right, of the fact that unknowingly and intentionally, while we want our kids to go up, we still become the very reason why they're behind. So it's a lot. Intergenerational trauma is real.
We're talking about solutions, right?
Yeah.
But I want to go home with some solutions.
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah.
So may I say this then? In terms of solutions, often cases we go to therapists or we seek counseling in spaces where we get more violated, and they're like, why did I even go? And that's why black people don't go for counseling, right? Right? And I say that as a clinician because I see my colleagues, white people, and I'm like, oh boy, don't even go to that one, because I know how they operate. You need to look for someone. They're not doing you a favor. They're there to support you. If there's no connection, if the person doesn't get you, don't even bother. Unless you're in crisis and you're worried about harming yourself, then it's another story. It could be about just getting the survival for today. There are black people out there. There are indigenous clinicians out there who are working from African-centered or indigenous angles. And I'm one of them. Are we many? Not necessarily. But it's coming up now. And you can Google, like go to Psychology Today and Google people who work from particular kind of lenses, right? Because there's no point of you going to get help and then you come out worse than when you went in. And no amount of praying is going to get us out of this. So we need to get help.
One thing that I could say, like, that could be a very viable solution for gun violence is if community leaders and citizens are more aware of the allocation of funds and advocate that funds are being given to schools and directly, meaning that we have psychologists, maybe of different backgrounds, so that students are able to connect with these psychologists on a personal level where they're more willing to grow as an individual and ease those pains that they experience at home, so that when they walk into a school environment, their mind is more compelled to learn and say, okay, fine, I want to actually be in this environment and learn and really grow as an individual. You understand what I'm saying? I feel like once we advocate more for the allocation of funds to go towards psychologists of different backgrounds, and even after school programs where we know that students are not just cast off to the streets to fall prey to drug lords and to gang members, but to continue to develop their mind, develop their curiosity for sports and for technology, the STEM, which is something that the world is heading into. But really engage them. I feel like that is how we can significantly fight gun violence in Toronto.
Thank you. Okay, so in terms of strategies at Queen's Park, I know that you spoke about the Black Caucus.
Right. I think what I've called was the running handguns in the streets of urban areas, and also ammunitions as well. But also it requires also making sure that the curriculum, the education curriculum, reflects indigenous experiences and history, the Black experiences from the African continent and also the Caribbean, and also specific targeting economic development as well, and trying to make sure that the community is also organized to pressure as part of the resistance, so the community is not waiting us also to work with us and have an ally in the community. Because I'm a Black doesn't mean I have to take your vote and confidence and trust for granted, that I have to work hard to make sure we are working on behalf of the community for the issues we already know and fight them to implement them into a plan of action. Now, if we talk about employment, we know that in my own community of York South-Western, the unemployment is above the national or provincial average. You could see the neglect in terms of jobs and opportunities, and all the jobs have already left in our community. We talk about childcare, it's a crisis. We talk about auto insurance. The transit in the city is not efficient, as you know. It takes some time. In my community of York South-Western, people rely on Kiel Bus and Western and Jane, and it's crowded buses. It takes 2 hours, sometimes more, to wait a bus, and you can't reach to work. So most of the people rely on buying a second car or buying a car, and that means then the auto insurance is also another barrier, because the community is not only my community of York South-Western, but throughout the GTA, people are targeted because of where they live, because of their postal code. It's also a community discrimination. So every file we touch, it's a crisis in our community. So what we need is definitely a different kind of government that you trust, in government that is an ally with you, a member of the Black Caucus and member of the New Democratic official opposition. Our goal is to be the alternative government in 2022, and now is the time to listen to the community and work with you to implement those ideas you have, and to have a permanent ally at Queen's Park. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. March.
In terms of solutions,
Yes.
you know what? We got a major problem here. Everybody's waiting for somebody else to be the solution. We just got to step up and take it into ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Stop talking about the we.
Mm-hmm.
Start talking about the I.
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Ricky Atkinson spent 33 years incarcerated, one of the most notorious gang leaders in the city of Toronto. Gun runner, bank robber. He did everything. He said he didn't kill anybody. I asked him, Ricky, was there a time in your life it didn't have to happen this way? Because clearly you're a leader. And he didn't hesitate. He said, yeah. So I said, hold on a second. You could have changed the history of Toronto, all these people that you impacted in a negative way. What was it? What was that time? And he said when he was in his early teens, if there was a strong person around him that he respected, and said, Ricky, hell no, you ain't going that route.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go this route, and I'm going to make sure you go that route. You could have changed the history of Toronto in terms of gang activity, drug dealing, and gun running. We don't have a crystal ball. I don't have a crystal ball. But we all have a say in how we interact with each other. We all know somebody that is struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can we be the voice to help that person buy time until they figure it out?
Mm-hmm.
Because the services, resources, government, politicians out there, I'm telling you, they're part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it has to come at the community. So in terms of solution to gun violence, if you look at gun violence as a report card, as a symptom of a major problem, Let's do what we can. I've got certain resources and means and accesses. I will use them. So do you. So do you. So do you. Like when you see somebody struggling, don't turn a blind eye to them. Extend a hand. I say I will not be the person to throw the first stone, but I will make every effort to be the person to extend my hand. Right? The first was. We can do it. We have to do it because we know the people involved. If there's a shooting last night, we know that somebody knew that person was a cousin of a friend of a whatever. People had a chance to intervene, and we were waiting for institutions, a system that is bankrupt, that is criminal in itself, to come and solve that problem. So the solution, we have to look to ourselves now. We have to, and make a difference where we can. You spoke about the seed and the tree. Right? A snowstorm starts with a snowflake. A rainstorm starts with a drop of water. Where we get the opportunity to make that difference, let's make that difference, because we could have helped Ricky if we were at the right time, and we were not. And as a result, we all paid a price. And if you look at all the stories of people that are involved in criminal life, there was a point, and we missed it. Because nobody's born with a gun in their hand. Nobody's born saying they want to be a drug dealer. Nobody's born saying they want to be the number one candidate in the city of Toronto. This is an environment. We have to have a bigger force, and the young people has to be part of the solution.
Correct.
And stop waiting for the system to make a change. That's it. I know it's big, but we can do a little smalls. And Chucky can tell you about the smalls that made a difference for him, right? You know, we can all do smalls. We're not looking for the big bang. The mayor says, "Well, I don't have magic answers." We're not looking for magic answers.
Exactly.
We're not looking for divine intervention. You can do something. You can do something. We can go around the table and make that small difference and let it grow into that big tree. Okay.
I don't know if you have some final thoughts. I was going to maybe go around and just give everyone an opportunity to give final thoughts. Do you want to do that? Okay. So we'll start off.
Final thoughts?
Yes, final thoughts.
I think this is a positive discussion. And discussions like these need to happen more. I think we should also, if we do have future discussions like this, we should also get more use, have more, kind of like Chucky, have more personal experiences shown. Because honestly, experiences like that I've never heard from Toronto before. So it's good to hear these things.
Absolutely. Share more experiences. Yes.
Yeah.
As a people, we have cumulative intergenerational trauma. We will need cumulative intergenerational healing. That's all I got to say.
Alright, me, my final sort of like understanding of this was that this was a very good conversation. I wish it was longer. And
Stop it. I gotta go home and watch the game.
I'll make it a special alarm for you. I hope
You just ain't trying to go home because you're on conditions. I bring you back home.
Okay, sir. Okay, it's your time. Now. Stop. It's your time. What say you coming?
I say it's good, yeah. We need to have these more often, but also it doesn't mean nothing until there's results, right? Because we can sit here every day for the rest of our lives, but nothing is gonna matter if no one does anything. Something still needs to be done, right? End of the day, we're gonna go home, and there's probably gonna be tomorrow, day after, but we gotta make a stop, right? We can't just keep talking about it, because talking is cheap. End of the day. We can't keep acting on. We can't just keep just putting out words, right? We need to put out effort. So that's it.
For me, it's kind of what you were saying about the mentorship, and what Brother Louis was saying about the small things. Right? So for me, turning my life around was based on small things. right? I remember Brother Louis dragged me up and
I
down.
didn't drag you.
Yeah, you did.
I invited you.
No, he would tell me he's coming to something like this and I don't have to speak. The next thing, yeah, so this young man here is going to tell you about this creation gentleman. Right? But there were times where it's just like, I had to respect his efforts because when I needed a student placement when I was going to college, he told me somewhere to go. And they took me on as a student without my vulnerable sector, no questions asked, and gave me an opportunity. There were times where I'm walking behind him and I remember having thinking, yo, I got no food in my fridge, I can't pay my rent this month. I just want to go back and hustle. And he didn't even know that. And he would give me a $20. And I would buy a can of bully beef, a bag of flour, a bag of rice, and I could feed my kids for the next 2-3 days. And for me, it was just like, I never had to ask him, he did it. And I remember being a child and being taught about hard work and respect. And for me to turn around and not respect his efforts, I put my best step forward would have been a disrespect to him, right? So those small things mattered. And I was understanding that those small things mattered, right? The thing is, we have to have examples, we have to have mentorship, like you said, and it's what that mentorship looks like. I don't think we could give organizations money and say, yeah, here, let's structure mentorship programs all around the city, because those organizations are going to take the money, pay a bunch of people, and they're going to have no idea how to do it, and they're going to sit there and say, well, you can only work between 9 to 5. When 5 o'clock comes, don't answer your phone. It don't matter if that kid got a gun to his head, don't answer that phone. Right? And it's difficult to do the small things. It's very easy to do them, but it's also difficult because, again, a lot of us as a people, we have our own struggles. So sometimes our own struggles blind us from seeing how we could help other people, and I think we have to learn to see beyond our struggles, right? And realize that our struggles are shared. And the reason why they're shared is because, as you said, we're not just individuals, we are a community. And it's not even that, we're actual family, right? But how do we get back to that idea of family within a society that teaches you individual merit? And that you have to stand on your own. And even though that society will benefit you for standing on your own, they will also kick you down. Right?
I want to see more action. I want to see more action with politicians, and it's like I really turn to you guys because I feel like you guys are like the amplifier. We're the voice, but you really are the ones that could really take the action and get things done. And I would really love for you guys to fight for economic equality within the Black community, so we don't have to be in situations where we have to turn to crime in order to take care of our families. I want you guys to advocate for Black engagement, where we could have psychologists and teachers and encourage more teachers of different backgrounds to be more fluent in the Toronto District School Board. And I would love for you guys to really revise the curriculum where we, Indigenous, Africans, Chinese, we could all see ourselves in the curriculum and really grow as a collective, instead of having to assimilate into a culture that doesn't really accept us.
For me, wow, I'm just sitting here and I'm just, I feel, in all honesty, that there is hope. I feel that, I wrote this once and my professor drew a smiley face. I feel like the best is yet to come. And the reason why I say this is because more than 5 years ago, I remember sitting at a particular school and feeling as if my world was about to end because of how I saw Black boys and Black girls were so devalued. The level of antagonism to the point where I felt that I was just about to walk away from education. And I am here now. So I feel that there's hope and the best is yet to come, and I feel going back to what Louis said and all of us have alluded to, is that it needs to be individual as well as the collective. So the individual, everybody taking on that role and the responsibility and not waiting for a savior per se, but everybody taking on within the expertise of their own voice, because I've learned so much. Sitting here listening to everybody speak, I'm like, wow, it just reminds me of so much that I don't know. And my willingness to want to learn and to always want to share because of the impact that is urgently needed because our children are dying.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for having me today. And today I learned a lot, and I continue to listen to the issues of our community. The solutions are here, basically, and the community knows the solutions. What we need is a government on our part that is listening to the community. We don't need cutting, and that's not what the community wants, and that won't address anything really. It's just discrimination targeting members of our community, and that is also has been a lack of a voice and representation in all levels of government. And I think when I was running 2018 for general election, most of the members of our community were saying that nothing will change, and because that's how we view the system is not supporting us, the system is against us, and that's why we need to get even and to organize in a better way that we are a force to be reckoned with, that every block in our communities are aware who is making what, and that we, people like myself and our Black Caucus, are here to fight the fight and to give the community an effective voice. That means that we want to be an ally, even though we are a member of the community, to make sure those solutions you have are acted upon when we form government. And while we are the official opposition, also to fight all the tools of God at the legislature to make sure we fight the cuts, we fight a privatization agenda, and also discrimination that is happening, institutionalized discrimination. And that I would continue to come forums like this to learn personally, because Jack's experience is something needed also other politicians to hear, and that we need bigger forums like this to invite these politicians who are career politicians, to be honest with you. I view this not a career, I view this as a representation of the community in which I represent, and I'm there to represent them and to advocate and to solve those problems. And working with you and building a friendship here, that I am concerned that the concerns our community has not been addressed at the moment. And because the previous also government, the last 15 years, have also neglected us. And what we have today is from bad to worse. We can do it better. And to do better means that each and every one of us is also involved and educated and knows what's happening at the legislature and all levels of government, so that when you have the opportunity to vote, then you make the right choice. So you build the right alliances, not just voting, because the way the community voted in the past, but trying to also vote a block and strategic, and making sure you build also new alliances like us, the New Democratic Party, to make sure that you also be a critical to how we are performing and how we are doing this, so we get a feedback. But at the same time, you are also the leader. We are working for you. It's not the other way around. You are the bosses and we are the servant. And that's the key, I think, important, that the politicians knows what they're working for. And imagine the city of Toronto. I don't know the actual number of the statistics of people of color. Probably they are the majority.
51%.
51%.
Racialized, yeah.
Racialized. And if you look at City Hall, it doesn't represent the community. It doesn't represent the people who live in the city. And the reason is because members of our communities do not come and vote. When they know that it does matter, you could have a representative like me who can fight for the community, who have no other agenda, okay? Simply to improve the conditions of our community and making sure that every member of our community and other communities who live in our constituencies have also opportunities, and where it's needed is also invested and working together. That's what we need. What we need is the community being educated, forums like this, and Revealing Magazine, having an opportunity to have bigger forums that we could also have maybe radios, televisions devoted to talking about critical accountability in government and representation as well.
Oh yeah, any final thoughts? Sorry, I'm like,
But I started the final thought. Can we do it again?
no, just the final thought. You need to know the final thought. We will end.
The final thoughts that I think it's important to have all the stakeholders at the table. I'm sick and tired of people making decisions that affect our community and we're not present. And if the government can't make that happen, then we're to blame. Then we make it happen. You can't have a provincial government that takes $25 million out of after-school programs and gives it to the police to solve this problem when the police says we cannot solve this problem without involving community. So my final thoughts is we have to find a way to insert our voice, our narrative, our content. So whether it's Revealing Magazine or whatever other form, social media, we have to really get ahead of this and start getting. I gotta even find out who this Debbie is. Though.
That's a whole next level of trauma for yourself.
But we have to force ourselves. Not only see the door, we have to break the door down. And so whether it's at the political level, at the community level, whether it's at the school, I tell young people, stop talking to me about you're going to be leaders of tomorrow. You need to be leaders today, because tomorrow will never come, literally. So we've got to bring a new voice to the table, and the young people have to be the tip of the spear here. Not stop waiting for systems to change. They ain't going to happen. Trust me.
So thank you guys all for coming here today to partake in Revealing Magazine's conversation on Toronto's gun violence. On behalf of me, Kathy, and Stefan, we'd like to say thank you for Atlanta for being our moderator, for Mr. Hassan for being here, and for Mr. Louise, Uncle Louis. Thank you, Chucky. And thank you, I forgot your Cyrus. Thank you for your viewpoints. They were very amazing. And yes, thank you for you guys all being here today.
Thank you for organizing. For creating a space. Amazing.